o'clock. I'll call the December 2nd meeting of Old Colony Planning Council to order. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833, extension 202. The notice of non-discrimination rights and protections to beneficiaries with regard to federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and the state non-discrimination protections is posted in the meeting room and is available on Old Colony Planning Council website. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833, extension 202 for more information. All right, so being that we do not have a quorum, I'll make a motion that we will do roll call first, and then we'll go into executive committee so that we can start our business. So Mary, do you want to do roll call?
I certainly will. Abington.
Present.
Mary, I can do it if you'd like.
Okay, go ahead, Sandy.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Abington,
Present.
Avon,
Present.
Bridgewater, present. Brockton,
Present.
Duxbury, East Bridgewater, Easton,
Delegate?
Duxbury's here. I don't know if you heard me.
Thank you. Thank you,
Oh,
Valerie.
no, I did not, but thank you. Halifax, no, Hanover, Hanson, Kingston, Pembroke, Plymouth, Plimpton,
Delegate.
Stoughton,
Delegate.
West Bridgewater, no, Whitman,
Alternate.
okay.
So Sandra, how many do we have?
I have 6. Wait a minute.
No. There's more. There is a quorum that's ascertained, Madam President.
Awesome. Okay, so no need to go into executive
Nope.
committee. Okay, so let's start with the minutes of, we've got October 22nd and November 23rd. If everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes, are there any questions on either sets of minutes?
Nope.
Okay, hearing no questions, do we have a motion to accept the minutes of October 28th?
I'll make
So moved from Avon.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Frank, and are you going to second, Sandy?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, and a second from Sandra. Can we do roll call vote, Sandy, on the minutes, accepting the minutes of October 28th?
Absolutely. Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater, accept. Brockton,
Accept.
Duxbury,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
we're gonna get down to Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
and Whitman.
Accept.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so now on to the executive committee minutes of November 23rd. If there are no questions, do we have a motion to accept the minutes from November 23rd?
Duxbury
I move
motion.
to accept.
Okay, Duxbury move to accept?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a
Easton
second?
Easton second.
Okay, and Easton second. Okay, how about a roll call vote, Sandra, to accept the minutes from executive committee meeting November 23rd?
I'm just writing that down. Okay, Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater, accept. Brockton,
Accept.
Duxbury,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
we're gonna get down to Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
and Whitman.
I wasn't there. Should I abstain?
You can still vote, Dan.
Okay. All right, I'm reading it. I'll accept.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Okay, so Doug and Brenda, on to the financial reports for October 2020.
And Madam President, just before we get into there, in the executive committee, it was in the nominating committee that Doug Silvestri has been nominated as the treasurer and has accepted duly. So this is his first meeting as treasurer.
Great, thank you for that clarification, Mary. Perfect. All right, so Brenda, do you want to take the wheel here for the financials?
Sure. I'm hoping that my internet connection is better than it was before, but if not, I apologize. Okay, statement of expenditures. We show a total expenses for the month of $126,870.38. And that's all for the statement of expenditures for the expenses. On to the cash position.
Sorry, give me one
That's
more
okay,
second. Sorry.
that's okay.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, cash position shows that we had a total income of $143,627.48. The total disbursements were $166,822.24. The total cash available at the end of the month was $1,422,327.50. The OPEB account had a loss of $4,600.93, bringing us to an ending balance in the OPEB account of $727,662.87. On to the budget resources report. The total receipts for the month were $143,627.48. This brings our total cumulative receipts for the fiscal year to $1,081,561.13. Moving on to the AAA report. Pass-through funds in the top graph shows total cumulative billings as of this report to a total of $1,295,258. Allocated volunteer transportation funds account had no activity this month. The balance at the end of the month remains at $189,782. On the bottom graph, ombudsman and admin funds show total cumulative total billings of $227,154. Moving on to the Rom statement and activity.
Let me just make this larger. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah,
No problem. Okay.
these
The
presentations are
balance
very
at the
good.
balance at the beginning of October. The balance at the beginning of October was $179,795.12. The October ROM expenses were $3,061.17. The October receipts were $5,850. The total ROM FY21 expenses to date are $29,876.24. I'm sorry, did you need me to stop?
Nope.
Okay. Total FY21 income to date was $23,400. The ending balance in the ROM bank account in October was $178,296.25. That's it for the regular financials. Do you want me to move to?
Actually, what I think I wanted just through the treasurer and through Madam President is just, we had a finance meeting yesterday. I didn't pull together the minutes, but basically we went through a more in-depth, Doug and others had some questions in terms about what is ROMs and some of what are these numbers more in detailed, like just ways that maybe perhaps we can have some cost savings. So we're going to do a much more in-depth as we continue on with our finance meetings. And back to the OCPC budget, the same thing in terms of delineating what is administrative and where's printing, and a little bit more detailed. So I didn't really have that ready for today's meeting, but those finance meetings are open to all the council members. Perhaps as we get through as we get through the end of this calendar year, perhaps we can just do a little bit of a benchmark about where we are with our finances before we start preparing for next year's budget. And did you want to?
Hey, did you want me to continue?
Well, are there
Mary?
any other questions for Brenda on what we have reviewed so far?
We have to take a roll call on that.
Okay, it looks like everybody's good on that. Yeah, if you could continue on, Brenda, that would be great.
Okay. The only other thing that I really wanted to report on is that the audit is, I have it. It's a 52-page report, and I've started going, but I'm working on it. Everything is totally on schedule. We're still planning on closing it out and accepting it at the board meeting in January. So we're still looking good.
And
I
Mary,
think did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I'm just I have your notes up on the screen right now, just in terms of besides the Markham. I did ask Brenda just to go back to Markham in terms of how often to take up the depreciation and capitalization schedule. The council adopted the policy. So the determination was that it really wasn't necessary, but I think as a matter of transparency for us to talk about this, because in the finance meeting, we discussed the capital improvements that we've been making. So it does have a correlation. This year particularly, we did a lot of improvements. So I want to be able to make sure that as particularly if we go over an X amount of improvements to the building or buy equipment, the council should be updated and see if how it may affect the capitalization. So that's that piece. And then the other piece, the good news is that we were receiving notification about the our IRS, the filings, and there was a late charge. Markham appealed it, and it was about in the figure about a little over 3,000. The IRS granted the waiver, and no longer is there a penalty. So that's good news.
That's great.
It is great.
Good job.
3,000 to 3,000. Well, it was staying. Brenda was asking Markham on a weekly basis, what's the status? And so that's the good news. The other piece is that as we reported at the last meeting, the Rockland Trust loan mortgage is up. They've extended us a 6 months extension, but they also talked about that it was going up almost a whole percentage point. So what we're going to be doing over the next, what I started to do the last couple of days is just start reaching out to different institutions to see if we can get a better rate. Once we're there, we will let Rockland know that we have a better rate and see if they're able to meet us at that level. So,
I like that.
So I believe Charlie and Brenda, I believe we talked about this at the finance meeting. I think the extension goes till April. So while we have some time, I don't want to wait for that kind of time. I really would like us to try to put it's a 5-year loan. So just to try to solidify that so we can kind of know where we're going with our finances. That's it.
Okay.
Great, thank you. So any questions on any of the financial information provided by Brenda or Mary?
Nope, I think that I'm all set. Thank you, Christine.
Great. All right, so do we have a motion to accept the financial reports from October 2020?
I move to accept.
Second.
Okay, is that Jean Marie?
Yep.
Okay, so motion Jean Marie, do we have a second?
So in second.
it, Sandra.
Okay, second by Doug. So we have a motion and a second to accept the financial report from October 2020. Sandra, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater, accept. Brockton,
Accept.
Duxbury,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
and Whitman.
Accept.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, Mary, how about some staff reports?
I would love to talk about staff reports. So let me first tell you that today is my 1-year anniversary of being the executive director of Old Colony Planning Council.
Congratulations.
I cannot tell you how quickly this time has flown by. And it has been, quite honestly, one of the most wonderful experiences, the staff, obviously the council, but getting that synergy and energy, and it's just been amazing. And I can't believe it's been a year through a lot of different things. Yes. But I want to get right into, it truly is the staff, and what they've been doing is putting together all their different notes. Dottie is on today, and what I've been doing, if you noticed in terms of these staff reports, I start moving some people around just so we start off either with AAA or we start off with transportation. So this time we're back to the economic recovery with Dottie Fuginetti. If you have not connected with Dottie, you must connect with Dottie. She's been active, and in terms of, first of all, she's working and leading us in terms of a mission statement and vision statement, which we'll be getting to all of you for your review and acceptance. But particularly as it relates to housing and also with EDA. And as you know, that with we had the retirement of Bruce Hughes, and with Bruce retiring and some of the time related to that, Dottie took up the realms and just ran with it, along with the other staff, with Joanne and Lori. So, in terms of the community, she's involved with Brockton and Stoughton and Easton and Plymouth. She is going to be working on, in terms of the current grant opportunities. These are all live links. So for those that are coming up, shared winter streets and urban agendas only for Brockton, but cultural organizations, the downtown initiative, pretty amazing stuff. And most of this information has been going out into our e-newsletter. I'm asking all of you to really take a look at that newsletter and share it. Just share it. People's names who you think should be getting them. Community groups, like we've started off with a little under 500 in terms of our email list, and no one has dropped off, because we want to make sure that it's relevant and effective. So please share this information. The small business resource webinar that's on December 10th. It's only for businesses, but still, the shop local, on and on. So I shared this with all of you in the within the notice for the meeting, but I can certainly share this again, particularly because they're live links, the technical assistance. What do I say about transportation that I haven't said before, right? I think in every one of our communities, and not only in terms of working on the MPO and JTC, but it's also, getting the phone calls from citizens, and from many of you on this, with working with Frank and John in Avon, particularly as it relates to different sections of the town that have had some issues. And, we've really have heard from all of you. And I want to highlight a couple of the things. I know we'll have Charlie be talking about it in a little bit under new business, but, just today I was on a joint meeting with BAT and OCPC, and the interrelationship that we have with them is amazing. And so access to jobs, right, in these times, and access to education are all really intertwined. But working with Mike Lambert from BAT and his staff is just an exceptional. And I'm looking at, besides the tip, there's also the active transportation study. The climate change transportation vulnerability assessment project is just with Ray Marino. The road safety audits has really been the backbone for all of us, and continues to be an amazing staff in what they're doing. And we never do it justice, but these bullet points then all be given to the state. And Charlie, as I've often said, has been the E.F. Hutton of transportation. They do, he really is. So see, all of you knew who E.F. Hutton was. When I talked about it with the younger staff, no one knew who E.F. Hutton was.
Wow.
But you know, the November 5th, the Understanding Desperate Impact MPO, Paul Chenard and Charlie, while it was a small attended webinar and training, it really was impactful what we do. Continue to work on, right? There was a letter, I think I have it in one of my, I'll show it in a minute, but we sent a letter to the state about the cutbacks in the MBTA and how that affects our region. So we're keeping a pulse on that. Obviously with finances, that's a tough situation. We just want to make sure that where those cuts are, that they get restored. It was said to me earlier today is that when they cut back on the MBTA years ago, it took till 1997 to restore the service of the MBTA. You know, those are the things that are just, we can't wait to have to restart everything. The 2020 Moving Together Conference, a number of the staff participated in that. Just lots of full of information. So please take a look at any of this. And if you have any questions, you don't have to go through me to talk to Charlie or any of the staff. You go to Charlie and please reach out to him on any of these. Community Planning and Economic Development with Lori Muncy and Joanne Zigman. So technically Dottie is part of this under the community planning. I just kept her separate just because of all of the, it's really timely in terms of the grants that she's working on. But this department, again, it's two people and they're doing the work of like a group of 10 between the Hanson Hazard Mitigation Plan and Stoughton Housing Production Plan, working with Avon again in the open space, Brockton's the 43D expedited permitting, the wonderful, and if you haven't done so already, Joanne is working with age-friendly action plan. I think that's a new and innovative way of looking to energize our community and see where that goes. Plimpton Natural Resources Protection, Plymouth Climate Change, you know, and then again, it's projects that have been completed in East Bridgewater and Kingston. So the Green Communities is also under the community, community planning and economic development. There is been a lot of changes and a lot of deadlines that have been moved forward. Joanne Zigman has really been taking the lead on this, and both Kyle Moat and Sean Bailey from the Transportation Department has really come in to assist with getting the work out the door. Area Agency on Aging, David Klein, Lila Burgess, and Jane, only saying this because they're all still right here tonight. But the progress reports in terms of what Lila's been doing and working with Elder Affairs. As all of you know, this is an area where COVID has really hit the population deeply, working with the CARES funding that has come in, again, with some small staffing, but there's also, looking at the reporting, the extensive reporting that needs to be done. I believe David Klein is reaching out to all of you. He's going to need your assistance about filling out some forms. There was a question about how many members of our council are over the age of 60 or 62. So, so if you haven't responded to him, please do. And again, just in terms of working with Council on Aging, I believe all of you have either been in contact with David or with Lila, but their work has been incredible. So we've been out in the community as well, worked on, I believe it was election day, I think, Dottie, but Lila, Dottie, Ray, Garino, myself, one of the things I said for my birthday, instead of giving me something for my birthday, we did a community service project. And in this case, there was a winter garden that needed to be winterized. And so that's what we did. We're going to continue to do more work in the various communities. So if you have a community service project and something in your community, once we really get ourselves with our OCPC gear, we'd love to work with you on being engaged in your communities. And Sean Bailey, I know he's going to talk a little bit more in depth about this in the presentation today, but the septic management program, lots of projects to be included. sort of like the unknown of what we do, but it is it's sort of a break even program that we have, but it's very effective, and I think we've reported, and Brenda already reported on, and so that is the staff report. I did want to let the council know that Jimmy Pereira had tendered his resignation, and that was effective on Thanksgiving. I mentioned to you that Bruce had retired, and I wanted there's a copy of the MBTA letter. If you haven't received it, I can get a copy of that to all of you. And I believe that's it for right now.
That's all?
Thank you.
Can I tell you how much I love my job?
Oh my gosh. And your staff,
Wow.
they're
And
amazing.
my staff, the staff is
Absolutely
really,
amazing.
Woo.
All right. So how about some regional clearinghouse reviews?
great. And so on the back, I'm just going to go right into it right here. It was been compiled by Kyle. So in Whitman, there's a 20-inch forest main replacement. The project is anticipated. So I think, Dan, you received all the information about it. You know, as Lee mentioned at the last meeting, if there is a want by the delegate or alternate for us to weigh in with a support letter, we will do that. But these are more for your information. So, and I know that and I believe this was on the Brockton line as well, because I think Brockton was notified. And then the certificates, I'm just going to list those because we've talked about them in the past. You know, the proposed Duxbury Beach, nature-based storm damage protection, Sylvia Pond Estates in Kingston, Park Street Sewer expansion in Stoughton, Town of Marshfield and Duxbury Beach Dune nourishment, and then the Pine Hills. So the notice of project change, I'm sorry, that was the Pine Hills. They're now seeking MEPA review of the 7th and final phase of the development. So that is it for the environmental notification.
All right. So we are on to old business, status of retirement legislation.
So it is continuing to be discussed with our MARPA, our regional planning. They are looking again still for some sponsors. I believe that Senator Brady from Brockton and from the area is going to be signing on as being one of the leads on that. So that was one of the comments that I really wanted to kind of talk about, that it was something that was really important for us to move forward on that. And that really is it. So there really are two legislation. There's the existing legislation that prompted a lot of discussion from the audit for last year, right? We had to put a notation in there, and that's filed by the Treasurer's Office. And now there's a secondary legislation that MARPA, the Massachusetts Association of Regional Planning Agencies, is filing, that is really going to try to right the wrongs of all of the costs associated with the retirement. So I say we, me, Bob Moran, we were going to be doing a presentation about the retirement that is not fit into the schedule as of yet, but I think I need to up that for the next time that we meet, and hopefully in advance I can send that out, and so we can either through a finance meeting or through a special meeting, we can just kind of talk about the retirement legislation and what that means. So that's the retirement, and I believe, sorry, let me pull up my agenda. Was the logo update since sorry, I know where we are with that. So here is the update on the logo. I can tell you where we are. This has been vetted by staff. I'm just going to picture this because I think that a couple meetings ago, we talked a little bit about having some nature with business and housing and infrastructure. And so this is where we are right now.
Not bad.
See?
Yeah,
Let
I
me
like
tell you, Dan Salvucci, that is like the best compliment. It really is, because no one really likes change. And I remember some discussion that we had.
Oh, yeah.
Getting a not bad is so.
Well, you got a little of everything in there. You got transportation, you got new roads, you got trees, you got housing, you got development, got it
Bingo.
all.
That's great. So where we are right now, this is, it's gone to the designer. They're going to be looking at the font and the color and getting like OCPC in there. There's minor tweaks that are going to be made. So I had not formally sent this to you. I will send this out to the members so you can take a closer look at this. If you have any comments, get them. I will refer in the email who to send them to. But I appreciate all of your input, because both the council members and staff, the only way that this is going to be successful is with your input. So thank you to all those who had input on that.
All right, looks great, Mary.
Oops, sorry, I got myself out of something here.
All right, so we're on to new business. It looks like
Yes.
Charlie is going to be presenting the TIP Amendment 1.
Correct. Charlie, do you want me to make you a co-host so you can?
Actually, if you scroll to page 3 of this.
I most certainly can.
So thank you, Madam President. So on November 17th, Old Colony MPO released TIP Amendment number 1 to a public review and comment period. You can see it up on your screen now. Both projects are for Brockton Area Transit. And what they propose to do is add these 2 items to the existing TIP. And I note before we talk about the individual projects that the addition of these projects does not impact any local funds, or these do not replace any other projects. They're not pushing them out of the TIP. So this is a good news agenda item. So Brockton Area Transit, the first one is proposing to buy 4 40-foot replacement buses for approximately $2.3 million. And you can see here on your screen, there's $2018, $2019, and $2020. On the federal transit side, what happens if funds are unexpended, they roll over for a 3-year shelf life. So what BAT is doing here is accessing funds that have been carried over into the current year. So BAT is fortunate to have the MassDOT providing the statewide match. So this is part of their state of good repair for their buses. And project number 2 is using federal funds that they have through a MassDOT grant, and it's being matched by what they call transportation development credits, and that's essentially toll credits. So in this case, MassDOT or BAT, neither one is providing the match. It's through the investments made in the electronic entry and electronic toll system, so they can offset the state match with the already an investment in that program. And what they propose to do with this project is to purchase, they have here on the list is miscellaneous support equipment, but what that actually is in the case for BAT is automatic passenger counters for their fixed route buses, and also the addition of automatic vehicle locators for their bus systems. That'll interface with the Next Bus system and Google Transit, which you can view the placement of the buses on an online map. So this is undergoing a public review. It's we see it as a good thing for Brockton Area Transit, and it's been approved by MassDOT. It wouldn't have gotten this far if MassDOT hadn't concurred with the need and the availability of funds. And the next time the MPO is going to consider this item for endorsement is at their December meeting, which is December 15th at 10 o'clock. We will be running this also by the Joint Transportation Committee tomorrow at noontime for their review and comment as well. That's the amendment in a nutshell. So this would be a council action item.
All right, do we have any questions for Charlie on the TIP amendment? All right, hearing no questions, do we have a motion to accept the TIP amendment as submitted?
I'll make that motion, Dan Whitman.
Oh, okay, so we've got Frank and Dan. So Dan, you made the motion. Frank, did you want to second this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we've got a second from Frank. So Sandra, can you do the roll call vote to?
Sure can.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Bridgewater, accept. Brockton,
Accept.
Duxbury,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Plimpton, I'm sorry,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
and Whitman.
Accept.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay.
Plimpton.
Yeah, Lee's usually here. It's unusual for him to miss a meeting.
I
All
know.
right, so now on to Sean Bailey, who is going to do a presentation on the septic program and highlights and a highlight of OCPC staff.
And just one thing before Sean starts. So one of the things I would like to start doing, particularly if we have time as we flow through our agenda, I would like to start having various staff be introduced to the council, and so you get to know a little bit more about what each of them do. So with that, Sean, why don't you start?
Yes, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Can you all hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Very good. For any of you who may not know me or have ever met me, my name is Sean Bailey. I'm a transportation planner here at the Old Colony Planning Council. I've been here for over 7.5 years, started a couple of weeks after I graduated from college at Westfield State University. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about the septic program and some of the other tasks and activities that have taken place here this year that I have participated in. Firstly, is the traffic counting program. As you may have expected, we had a severe delay in the initiation of the traffic program because of COVID. We were not doing our ATRs or TMCs until late summer. I believe Kyle and I did our MassDOT test for the ATRs in late July. And here is a breakdown of all of the ATRs, the automatic traffic recorders that we did during this calendar year so far. We did a total of 24 counts for MassDOT in 8 different communities. And with the LTA requests, as well as other traffic count requests that we had come in, we had a total of 30 amongst the 9 communities listed right here. And next is an update on congestion management process. I've been the administrator of the CMP ever since I became a full-time staff member in the summer of 2015, and wanted to give a brief overview of what we did in 2020 for CMP. So in addition to the traffic counting program, we do yearly counts twice a year at 16 commuter rail and 6 park and ride locations, both in and adjacent to our region. In April, being the first full month having dealt with COVID, we determined it was not safe for our staff to visit any of the lots. So with the commuter rail, they were still having their staff members visit the lots to check for vehicles that were parked there. So we were able to get utilization data from the MBTA. However, with the park and ride, we were not unable to acquire any data for the 6 park and ride locations because all of the bus lines were suspended at the time. The Plymouth and Brockton bus service that goes up and down the Route 3 corridor is still suspended even at this time. And MassDOT, because all of their park and rides have free parking, they have no reason to check their lots on a routine basis, similar to the MBTA. And with the MBTA back in April, between all 16 locations, they had an overall utilization of just 1.3%. It was very, very low. And I have a couple of charts after this slide that'll illustrate the data that we got from the 2 counts this year. And in October, we determined that it was, we had a better grasp of COVID. We felt it was safe for our staff to visit the locations. So I conducted my usual grouping of the staff members with different locations. And with the commuter rail, the utilization increased dramatically over April. However, was still far below normal year of 8.4%. And in terms of commuter rail, we had vehicles at every station for the first time since October 2018. Every count since then, I believe the Plymouth commuter rail station was the only station that had not had any vehicles present because of its location, because they only have 4 inbound and 4 outbound trains going to that station. With the Kingston not too far away, getting much more frequent service, Kingston is a much more desirable location. And for the park and ride in October, Bridgewater was the only lot comparable to a normal year. They had 15 vehicles, and I believe the lowest vehicle count in the previous 10 years that we've been there was 20, so not too far off. The West Bridgewater Park and Ride was over 50% utilized and was actually the only location among the Park and Ride and the commuter rail stations that was over 50% utilized. None of the other stations even came close. And the overall utilization of all of the Park and Ride locations was 22.8%, far greater than the commuter rail stations. And here's a graph I created for our newsletter. If any of you are subscribed to our newsletter, you might have seen this in a recent subscription. So the red bars are the counts for the April commuter rail counts, and then the blue is for October at the commuter rail counts. As you can see, there were 5 locations in April that had no vehicles present at all, and they were Abington, Brockton, which is the Bat Garage at the Bat Center, Canton Center, Plymouth, and Whitman. And the highest vehicle count was 23, which was observed at the Montello commuter rail station. And as you can see with the blue, the October counts had significantly higher utilization counts than April, with South Weymouth coming in the highest at 88, with Canton Junction coming just behind it at 80. As I said, still significantly less than what a normal year sees, but it's at least trending in the right direction, and hope to see April 2021, hope to see that number continue to go in the right direction. And here's the Park and Ride utilization. Now, as I said before, we were unable to get any data for April 2020, so I did a comparison of October 2019 versus 2020, so you can see what we observed this year as opposed to last year, what was a normal year unaffected by COVID. And as I said before, Bridgewater was only 5 vehicles below the previous year, and every other location was significantly below what their location had seen the year prior. Probably the biggest one was hands down Bourne, saw 384 vehicles in 2019 and only had 48 vehicles present a couple of months ago. And if I had to make a guess, the Bourne, Kingston, Plymouth, and Rockland locations, if I had to guess, most, if not all, vehicles parked there were probably utilizing those locations for carpool purposes, because as I said earlier, the Plymouth and Brockton bus line that services the Route 3 corridor at those 4 locations is still suspended even to this day. I checked earlier this week, and they still are suspended, and there's still no timeline on when they may resume their services. And Mary already kind of touched upon this, but I just wanted to kind of give a little more of a descriptive overview of the green communities. There are 4 major areas when it comes to green communities. They are the competitive grants, final reports, annual reports, and designation. So back in April, I believe it was, when we were all starting to work from home, I was asked to help Joanne Zygmunt on the competitive grants. We did 3 competitive grants this year for 3 communities: Marshfield, Stoughton, and Whitman. I did the one for Stoughton, and Joanne did Marshfield and Whitman. And the competitive grants are based off of projects listed in the municipality's energy reduction plan. If they're not listed in there, then they're not eligible for Green Communities funds. The final reports, we did 3 of them this year for the town of Abington, city of Brockton, and town of Halifax. The final reports are basically a summary report of competitive grant awards that were received. Basically lists each project in detail, what the scope of work was, what it actually cost, and provide the invoices and proof of payments, etc. The competitive grants and the final reports kind of go hand in hand. And then between Joanne, Kyle Mowat, and myself, we all collaborated on doing 9 annual reports, which is a collaboration of the town's green communities data based off of the Mass Energy Insight, which is an online tool that we use for green communities for all of our communities. And we did it for these 9 communities here. We have submitted them and are just awaiting for feedback from the state. And currently, Joanne, Kyle, and I are working on getting the town of East Bridgewater up for designation so that they can become a green community. And there are 2 other towns, Avon and Plymouth, that we are working to get them up to green community designation, which we are hoping will occur next year. And next, this year we are currently we're working to complete these two studies for the Brockton Area Transit Authority. The first one was overtaken by Paul Chenard. It is the Brockton to Taunton study. It's a study that is working to connect the Bat and Gatra areas between Brockton and Taunton. There's a desirable connection between those two service areas that would allow Gatra riders to access the VA hospital and also allow them better access to the MBTA, whether that be the commuter rail or, if it would allow them to get to the Bat Center and, perhaps take the red line, the Ashmont up to the Route 12 bus up to the Ashmont on the red line. The scope of the study is basically going to go over the Route 123 and 138 corridors. And this is going to be more of a commuter service as opposed to a fixed route service. So it's only going to have maybe a handful of stops as opposed to your normal service that also with BAT has the flagging stop. If you're not at a designated stop, you can wave a bus and get them to pick you up. And the other report is just the annual ridership report that we do for BAT every year. As one can expect, because of COVID, the ridership decreased significantly when looking at the end of the year average. Because of COVID, it was determined that it was desired to split the report into two different sections: the months of July to February as months that were unaffected by COVID, and then from March to June as months that were affected by COVID. And BAT also asked us to add in a video analysis section to see where the boardings and alightings are for the bus routes that have been running during the COVID affected months, to see, because of so few people riding the bus, BAT was interested to see where are people getting on, where are they getting off on every single route that they had running available during the COVID months. And Paul Chenard is doing a fantastic job of getting that done for the report. And then, as Mary said earlier, here at Old Colony Planning Council, we are the only regional planning agency in the state that enlists our assistance for communities in the Community Septic Management Program. It is a state-funded nonprofit program that allows communities to borrow money from the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust to loan it out to homeowners that need financial assistance in getting their homes up to Title V compliancy. It is applicable to both septic systems and sewer connections as long as the town has town sewer. And so far during the 2020 calendar year, we have completed a total of 10 projects, and we've had at least one in every single community. Stoughton, we will be having a lot more projects completed in the near future. The town has been waiting during 2020 to get their new loan approved that was passed at town meeting last year. It received its final approval in November, and I have reached out to every homeowner on the waiting list. Some homeowners had to could not wait any longer and had to take care of it themselves. And the remaining homeowners I sent application packages to, and I'm waiting to get the applications back from them and get the process started so that we can take care of their properties. And listed over on the right, there are a total of 15 open projects between all of the communities. And the great thing about this program is, as I said, it's not for profit. No one's financially benefiting from it. It allows homeowners to get a new septic system or a sewer connection. It allows engineers and contractors to get jobs, and it allows the municipalities and the states to help homeowners get up to Title V compliancy, which, for anybody who may not know, if you're having a bad septic system or any problems with your sewer, it's a public health hazard. So it's a really nice program, a very beneficial program. A lot of people love it. There's no credit check. There's no real background check. It's all done through the municipality. Homeowners pay it back with a separate bill with the real estate taxes. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have good credit. I can't get a loan." That's not a problem. That's not an aspect of this program, and it's helped out a lot of people who have needed assistance in their time of need. And one project that I have undertaken during quarantine is a traffic trends project. And this graphic that you see right here The green line is the average daily traffic across 8 different locations, both within and immediately adjacent to the OCPC region. There are 4 MassDOT permanent counters on Route 24. There is 1 on 495, and then 2 on Route 3. I'm sorry, there's 5 on Route 24. My apologies. So the green lines is the data from every location for 2019, which I used as the baseline year, and the blue line is the 2020 traffic. And as you can see, starting in March, started to go down and got to its lowest point at the end of March, and then started working its way back up. And as you can see, as November came to a close, it's coming back down. And Thanksgiving across every location saw its lowest traffic since either April or May, depending on, March or April, depending on the location. We have created our own webpage on the OCPC website. The link is right here in this presentation. And MassDOT has a great MS2 website that I acquired all the data for this project. And it is also the same website that Kyle Moat uses to upload our traffic data that we get from both of our automatic traffic recorders and our turning movement counts. So it's a really great interactive website. You can see every location that we've done or that other places have done. It's across the whole state. It's not just in OCPC region. It's a really great data source. If any of you have not seen it, I recommend at least checking it out. And I can provide the link in the chat after I do this presentation. And then as I was inputting the data this week, I noticed that, because of Governor Baker's recent mandate, the traffic on Thanksgiving was drastically low the surrounding days of Thanksgiving. So I decided to create a separate graphic that I had not had before. And as you can see, across all 8 locations, traffic was down on Thanksgiving a lot. The greatest decline was Plymouth on Route 3 north of the Bournetown line, was down 56% over Thanksgiving last year.
Wow.
And even the Randolph on Route 24, just south of Interstate 93, right as you come onto 24, it basically got cut in half, went from 141,000 vehicles in 2019 on Thanksgiving to 72,000 under 500 on Thanksgiving this year. So
what I'll be doing is sharing your PowerPoint, Sean, along with the recordings of this with all the council members, so they can have that website.
Great, perfect. And lastly, I don't have a slide for this, but I know that Kyle Mowat came to the council meeting last month and discussed the drone training that we are undertaking. I am one of the other people that is going to be doing that training with him. Kyle has gotten a head start on it. I'm going to be doing it in the next month or two, going to be initiating my training and going for my pilot certification. We're really looking forward to acquiring drones and being able to use it for a lot of our own projects. We could do it for the CMP. We could do it for all of our road safety audits, for LTA requests, maybe even for the septic program. Maybe if I could get permission from a homeowner, maybe fly a drone over a septic construction, maybe have a little video for the council for the septic program. Endless possibilities with drones and endless benefits.
Well, as you can tell, Sean's got a lot on his plate. Is this your first time coming before the council, Sean?
I believe it is, yes. I don't believe I've ever come to a council meeting.
So just among us staff, we're chatting amongst ourselves and we're saying, you're like killing it, like you just did. So thank you for your crisp and presentation.
Thank you. And I know I just threw a lot of data and information out at you ladies and gentlemen of the council. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to present on my projects. And like I said, if any of you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call.
Sean, thank you very much. I was going to say,
yep.
Well, thank you, Sean, so much. It's nice to see you, and what a great idea, Mary, to have to spotlight somebody for each meeting so that we can really get to know the staff. So thank you so much. What a great idea. And Sean, thank you for that excellent presentation, all that good information.
Thank you, Madam President.
I didn't bring the agenda, sorry. So the agenda, Madam President, is just the letter of engagement. I did briefly bring that up. The reason, there's been many of our meetings, whether it's personnel or finance, we've talked about engaging legal counsel, and we really didn't have anybody on call, if you will. It came to an attention of a personnel matter that we had before us, and I needed to reach out and get some counsel to make sure that we were protecting the council's interests. So in fact, it was recommended to me by a couple of other nonprofit groups that working with Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, Lahane. So there is an engagement letter. What I had them do was really just kind of, obviously the per hour basis in legal time, but it was a matter of taking a look at a potential statement to the press. It wasn't extensive, but it was time. And one of the things that we did, they will be sending us an invoice later this month. But one of the things that we talked about is keeping them engaged, as we're going to be taking on personnel bylaws or personnel policies, and or taking on the OCPC bylaws. You really want to be able to have some legal services. So I just wanted to bring this up to you and to the council members that we've ascertained their services. And it commits us engagement of certain things, but we will continue to be working with, just having them is a good thing to have for us.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for sharing that. So we're on to community concerns. Do we have any community concerns? All right, hearing none. Let's go on to other business.
And I think for me, Madam President, I wanted just to bring this up. This is a picture of Troy.
Troy Guerin.
Yeah. So Troy, and I meant to have it ready in time for council meeting, but I'm going to get a little teary-eyed. So I've known Troy just from my political involvement on things in the area. But when he has tendered his resignation as the at-large, his health has been declining, and just to see him was just amazing. So I was able, so while I have his letter of resignation, I said, let me do this. Let me take a picture of him. And I would like to, through you, President, Joy, is to properly acknowledge his years of service at the Old Colony Planning Council. So I will give him a plaque. We'll be doing something, but to recognize his years. But I thought at least I'd share, this is what he looked like. And it was just great playing catch up with him. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Mary. And that's a great idea to honor his years with OCPC, because he has been with us a long time.
Yes, he has. He has. And the only other thing that I sent out with all the notes are committee assignments. The personnel committee will be meeting, the bylaw committee will be meeting. We're really have a beeline into making a lot of improvements, tightening up the ship in terms of some of our structure that might be, this year we had 4 employees who either retired right at the end. It was started off with Pat Chiamella, and then it was Patrick Hamilton, Bruce Hughes, and then just most recently Jimmy Pereira. So there are some things that are within the bylaw and within the personnel policies that just need some examining, and to protect the financial interest as well as the interest of the employees. So with that said, it would be helpful. As you can see, there's some committees that are not well populated, and I think we'll be looking to see if we can get some more interest from some of the council members. And that, Madam President, is all I have.
Great. All right. Thank you, Mary. Well, I'd like Charlie to share his screen if we could, because we have a little something for you, Mary.
Oh, no.
Charlie told me about 2 weeks ago that tonight was going to be your 1-year anniversary, and we collaborated on a little presentation for you. So I'll let Charlie drive, and and I'll do the reading.
Yeah.
All right. So Charlie, you ready?
Actually, Paul has command of the presentation.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, Paul. I'm in your hands. All right, so you ready?
I am ready. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so it's a little poem that I wrote, so I'm not going to throw anybody else under the bus about the poem. And Lori and staff collaborated with Charlie to put together the graphics. So the poem is entitled Year One. So it may sound familiar to at the end. You started in December off like a shot. Transparency was key. We all learned a lot. You assembled your team, an impressive crew who worked like many, though numbers were few. Then March came along and crap hit the fan. COVID-19 threw a wrench in our best laid plans. We rallied again and worked out the kinks. Computers for all, as quick as a wink. Transportation, our seniors, economic support, COVID meetings, software updates as you held down the fort. Turbulent times served as a wake-up call. You advocated for equity and justice for all. You managed the challenges of working from home. Staff assisted our communities, and we researched a drone. Team building retreat, a worthwhile event as we discussed ROM budgets and rent dollars spent. Many challenges behind us, a year in review. We are so thankful OCPC was working with you. Our future is bright, your team is ready. Your leadership and vision will keep our course steady. Thank you for a great first year. Yay!
Oh my gosh.
So we had fun
Awesome.
doing that, and my extent of poetry is A Night Before Christmas, which is a great segue into wishing everyone peace, good health, and happiness in the holiday season. Staff, the council is so grateful for the work you do. You do an amazing job for our communities, and it's, I say this all the time, but I am so sincere in my gratitude and appreciation for the work you do. So thank you, thank you. And to my fellow council members, thank you for making it to these meetings. I know that you're stretched in many different directions, and the work that you do to advocate for your communities is so necessary. So thank you so much for being here and participating and representing your community. So thank you all. So that's all I've got.
Hey, Christine, you're very good at your poems. I like that.
Well, I think Lori took a little liberty with something which was a better tweak, the choice of words she used than what I had put. So it was fun.
I am so grateful to all of you. I am totally shocked. That was not even close to being expected. And I appreciate the time, the poetry, the staff, the council, things that are on the plate for the first of the year, a council retreat, whether it's by Zoom or in person or something along those lines, so we can talk about the mission and value and all of the wonderful things that I'm looking at all of you. I am still shocked out of all of this. It's beautiful, and I am grateful. Thank you.
Well, on that note, I don't think we've got any visitors.
No.
So why don't I'll make a motion to adjourn, and I know I'm going to see some of you guys next week, personnel and bylaws.
Yes.
But for those that we won't see until next year, Our next meeting is to be determined.
Yeah.
Looks like, and then we'll have, so it looks like 2 meetings in
There are-
January, Mary?
There are 2 meetings, Madam President, because one is going to be we usually have evaluations and discussions of staff
Right.
salaries. And in order to properly do that, we need to complete our evaluation, the second evaluation for this year. So, and with that, we also need to get approval and from the Mass DOT. So there is the to be determined. We'll get that date. I'll have a separate conversation with you, Christine. And then the second is really the only the audit, because that's going to need to be presented. So apologies for the 2, but it really, I promise you, one will be short and the other one will be the audit, which will be a little bit more entailed.
Excellent. So more to come on January, but we're definitely locked in for January 27th. It'll probably be the week before or maybe 2 weeks before that date for the second meeting.